Well, in that case, we've got,
So this, okay, and I just wanna make sure, so even with the proposed changes, so we'll be saving significant money. And that allows, I mean, lots of money to transport if they need to, is that right?
we have a lot of room.
Yeah.
You have to, please, you have to keep in mind, we eliminated $400,000 in salaries. A little over that, actually, we're saving about $75,000 in salaries total. But we're also saving in that our juveniles, instead of getting 2,300 calories a day, have to have 2,900 calories a day. So you're spending more money to feed. I asked Mr. McCallum how much it was costing us per day to house. He said they figured $55 per day. That does not include personnel. That's just what it costs them to keep them. So if you did that times 11 times 365, if we got that far, you're looking at $220,000. You know, from the looks of it, we haven't been spending that much if you look at that sheet. But I think it's a significant enough savings that we can budget a little more into line item for securing prisoners outside the county without having to hurt us. I will actually tell you that I was gonna ask to put, they've already got a line item for it, and I don't remember how much is in there, but I was gonna ask for $150,000 in the first year, just to make sure we covered it. And that would still be well within our savings. Because when we look on 228 and 22, we'll also pick up another 73,000 in savings.
Well, and I just did the math, so even if you just did the average of this year, which is what, 4, at $55, that's still $71,500. So you've got at least that much money to.
For sure, if we need to in transportation, but they're already making a lot of those trips anyway. So it'll almost be like double dipping. If they're going to Craighead with a prisoner, they can transport a juvenile at the same time. Can't do that.
No.
Can't do that, never mind.
Together.
I lied. When it came out, I thought.
One right to the front.
Yeah. Anyway, we still got extra money to do that with if we need to. Of course, starting October 4th, 2 weeks from today, we'll start looking at the expenditure budgets, and I'm sure the sheriff's is probably gonna be one of the first to come in. But we'll see some of those adjustments made in there too.
I better look up the sheriff's things.
So, okay, so we've got 3 currently, so I know we're talking about finances, but I'm curious, when would you close the jail?
It will be effective October 1st.
They'll have to move those out by the 3rd of
So do they
October.
have a place to put them?
We'll just have to call them, find out.
You had a question last week that I didn't have an answer for at the time, if I may.
Please.
You asked a question about if they were charged as an adult, where they put them, and I think Rick touched on it a few minutes ago. But both facilities, they house them in their juvenile facility in a different location, what both sheriffs told me. So they have arrangements made to house that felony charges, juvenile charges of adults in different areas, segregated from the non-violent juveniles. So we didn't answer that question. I think you had one. I don't remember what the question was.
I don't either now, but I feel comfortable with the answers I've got today, so thank you.
Okay, would you cost us $55 a day?
That's basically, that, you gotta realize on the juveniles, they don't pay for any of their medicine. On the adult side, they pay for the doctor's visits, they pay for any medicine they get. On the juvenile side, they don't.
Okay, I was just wondering what would the other counties charge us? Is there a certain amount?
$65.
Yes, I've
65
got
is all
a,
they can charge?
60, maybe 100.
Craighead County sent me a,
If we get, if those numbers were on that
They
sheet. then-
set the price, just like if someone brings us a cruiser, we can set the price of what we call a cruiser for.
Okay.
Each county says.
That gives you the comparison value.
So we get somebody of theirs.
Yeah, in the charge for that.
Craighead County charges $45 a day for adults and $65 for juveniles right now. If that didn't go up, and I haven't got that. I think it's less than that, maybe in Craighead County, but I don't have that in writing yet.
And the state, for what it's worth, pays us a lot less.
They still pay us $28.
We're still at 28 with the state.
No, I think it's 32
Yeah,
now.
gone all the way to
It
32.
it came up,
Every time they go section, they try to get 45, but it never gets there.
the governor raised it 2 times at $2 a day, so it's up $4 a day.
I mean, financially, it's,
I
It's just
agree.
business.
I mean, it looks like either way, we're gonna come out better, and we were able to give our entire sheriff department a raise.
Significant, yes. Do I have a motion from the committee?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, so we got a motion on the floor that we follow the personnel and, fire police and safety committee's recommendations of implementing the raise schedule as presented to us, by closing our juvenile jail and following the personnel changes that are being made by the sheriff's department in regards to this, pay schedule. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed to this? All right, then we'll move this to the full court as an appropriation ordinance, next Tuesday night. Sheriff, you have any questions or anything?
No, I'm gonna be talking to Mr. Barnes after this meeting, and we've got a few things I'd like to get cleared up with us as far as transportation. Any way that we can work with the juvenile folks, we're gonna do that. And, you know, I recommended, we were talking several days ago that if they had some close, they could, if there was a transport going in, a non-violent person, if they could help us when we're tied up with other things, because being short-handed on certain things, you know. And if it's a violent person, we have absolutely no problem transporting a juvenile. It's a problem. But the only thing I would ask, if you could, since Corn Court's provided 2 vehicles for the juvenile folks, if they could help us on some of the transport on the non-violent juvenile. And I think he's agreed to try to work with us on that. But he won't be with it every call. But Mr. Turner will be the main point of contact, and I asked him if he would give us a list of all his folks and their phone numbers, who's on call any particular night of the week, that the jail could call and get access to that person once a juvenile is picked up on the street. So we can work closer together than we have in the past. Many times we couldn't get through with a phone call, and it caused a little delay maybe in trying to get them with the juvenile officer. But I think Mr. Barnes has agreed to work with us closer on that, so it should be a lot smoother operation.
Definitely, have to work together to make things roll, so we're gonna talk and work some things out that we can, make sure we have things run as smoothly as we possibly can. The key to everything is good communication.
That's right.
We're gonna definitely have that.
and you don't think this is not a safety issue at all?
Such as what?
Like, say, I mean, not gonna let more kids just run around.
No, if they get picked up on the street, the officer will bring them out there
Okay,
and make a phone call to the juvenile folks to get whoever's on call after hours, which is what we're doing now.
so really, it's not gonna change anything?
It's not really gonna change anything.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is there anybody from the newspaper or media that's here right now?
Right.
Okay. I can only ask you this, I can't, if there's a way to write up your article without just coming out and saying that we're closing the juvenile facility down, you may want to say we have alternatives in place or something, but I just don't want the word getting out to the community that there's,
That's correct.
that there's no option. Again, I can't tell you, I'm just asking you as that
I understand what you're saying.
for a public safety thing, because we don't want everybody to think, well, there's no consequences, because there are
Right.
consequences. We have them in place, but they're just different than what they used to be.
Mhm.
So,
That's
if you'd
correct.
like more, I'll give you my card, and if you want to talk to me later on, I'll be glad to talk to you.
Well, and the situation is too, ultimately, a lot of what happens depends on what the judge does.
That's correct.
It all starts with the judge, so.
Well, point of arrest, it doesn't, so.
Yeah, no, not at the point of arrest.
At point of arrest, it's with the juvenile officer that makes the discretion to hold them, and then they have a detention hearing within 72 hours, and the judge decides whether or not he wants to hold them longer, so. Yeah, the judge can give them a longer sentence, we can only hold them for 72 hours without a hearing.
And from what I've read and seen over the last few years, the tendency is less incarceration for juveniles.
Yes. Most of the time, the juvenile officer works that out. When the officer picks them up on the street, brings them out, call the family and the juvenile officer, they don't always require them to sit in the JEC until that circuit or judge hearing comes to pass.
We look at three things. We look at the crime that they committed, whether it's a significant loss of property, if they're a danger to themselves, or if they're a danger to somebody else. Those are the three, or runaway risk. Those are the four criteria that we look at by statute before we hold them. So unless it meets one or more of those criteria, then we're not going to hold them. So if it's a disorderly conduct or shoplifting for a kid from Walmart that's local, we're not going to hold them for that. But if it's an armed robbery, it's a different ballgame. So,
Well, that's what I'm saying, so, and currently, we don't have any of those that are, I mean,
Well, the three that's charged as adult, I think there was there weapons involved in them or not?
well, I'm not talking about the ones that are charged as adults, I'm actually kind of more interested in the ones that are not charged as adults, those are, I mean, we don't have any at the moment somewhere else, do we?
No.
Have we, I mean, and the one was a female, I mean, have we tried to put somebody in while these guys have been out there?
before you on that.
Not that I recall,
Do you have anybody charged with violent felonies? So
yeah, we got some charges on it. Just because they're not out in the county, don't mean we're not charged about it.
No, I understand, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is housing is not an issue at the moment for them.
If I will get the call about it, going to the teacher.
I think what you mean, like, is there anybody right now that is not in jail that should be? No. Yeah. So, quick way to answer that, yeah. Now that can change like that. So, I mean, you know, we're only responsive to what happens around
Well,
us.
I guess what I'm saying is you got three that are charged as adults currently. If you had one that's not charged as an adult, that had some sort of violent crime, you can't house him out there anyway, because of the three you've already got.
If they put them on the other side.
Well, but then now you're talking about rearranging the whole thing. I mean, currently you can't do it, so.
They gotta be sight sound separated from the adults, then they gotta be by sex, and they gotta be by classification.
Yeah.
felony,
There's too many
misdemeanor,
variables.
education.
And the problem is that jail was never built for that. And when you're looking at Crittenden County and Craig County, they have a wing that they just put those adult charged ones by themselves. And that's what we run into when they try to bring another one that's not an adult, charged adult out there and put them on that female side. The one individual we got out there, he's already attacked 2 guards, besides killing somebody up here in Blytheville. And I just can't take a risk of putting a female prisoner in there and somehow him getting loose and attacking her. That's the last thing I need. So, you know.
Plus, most people don't know it, but when you're holding juveniles, that is a lot of liability involved. A ton of liability involved. And I think the juvenile folks can attest to that we don't necessarily have on the adult jail.
They fall under some different markers than the adults. Not to say the adults aren't important, they are, but our little darlings are maybe a little bit more important.
Any other questions regarding the juveniles? Okay, this is being the regular monthly meeting. I'm assuming everybody got Kelly's emails. She had 3 or 4 different attachments that she sent with it regarding our monthly expenditures and expense reports, in addition to the full monthly budget, our full year's budget. One attachment that she sent to us was year-to-date expenses purchased, and then the entire budget for the year-to-date. And that just kind of is a summary, where it says budget detail report. It doesn't show each and every check that was written, but then on a separate attachment, she sent the transactions report for just the month. And that shows each and every check, basically, that was written, that was taken out of each account and what it was for. So you've got the budget summary, and then you've got just the monthly transactions report. One question that I had, I missed you this morning, Kelly, I meant to try to catch you before we got here. On this year-to-date expense percentages, it doesn't exactly match up with what's shown on the transactions report for the month. So if you take the county judge, and I'm not picking on the county judge, he's just the top one, but if you look on the year-to-date expense report, and at the very far column, it shows the percentages, and it shows him at 83.15%. But then if we go to the transactions report, and then we follow it down to the bottom for the county judge, it doesn't show that much. Actually, it would be in the budget detail report, is where it'll show the year-to-date percentage or percentage left.
Well, I've added those year-to-date expense percentages because the first quarter is in our old system still.
Okay.
So when you're looking at the budget detail report or the transactions report, that's all in our new system. So the only thing you're seeing there is April through August.
So we're missing the first 3 months.
Yes. So I just try to put it together in a spreadsheet. I know you like to look at the percentages to see where
I do.
everybody is. And that's the only way I know how to combine them until everything gets converted to the new system.
And this would be through the month of August,
Yes.
through the first 8 months. Okay. Yeah, 2/3 of the year, 66%. So if you go down through and look at the various offices, you can see where we're at. Of course, we're over budget and transfers out of county general. For the most part, everybody's running pretty much within budget, right along, most of them a little bit behind. Judge is a little ahead. I haven't had time to go through and pick out mine. Anybody had time to look at that just yet?
Quote unquote, is that simply because some of us are already, most of us are already running out of money?
That's exactly right. See, on quote, we're on a finite deal, and once we're out of money, we're out of money. So like, if you've made 40 meetings, which you have been pretty close, I bet you're out of money already. Yeah, and there's several of us that have made, several meetings, so we're weighted, but once we hit 100%, we're done. We don't get paid anymore. Anybody have any questions about, Kelly, do you have any remarks about the monthly details and where we're at so far this year?
No, I really don't.
I didn't see anything that just stood out and made me holler, oh my gosh, call the sheriff.
Yeah. There's really nothing that stood out.
Okay. All right, in that respect, anybody have any questions about the different reports and what they're showing? The way Kelly sent them out to us? It's hard to print them all out because it's a little over 250 pages altogether if we did it all. And it takes a little time to go through it all too. Okay, we'll go ahead and continue to look through it for just a second. Kelly, do you have any business points? You and I had a talk this morning. I don't know of any other business coming from any of the other committees.
No, I don't see anything either.
We had the regular meeting, special call meeting a couple of weeks ago that we took care of a lot of business.
Oh, yeah.
There's an appropriation for energy and property.
Oh, I heard that there wasn't. I didn't make your meeting, and I had heard that y'all didn't have an appropriation.
No, we did. I forgot. Yes, thank you for reminding me. So, in the last meeting, we discussed that there was approximately $4 million left unappropriated. Without recommendation, we didn't have a quorum at the Energy and Property Committee, but we did discuss going ahead and appropriating $2 million. And that'll get us basically to the end of the project. When I was talking with CNI contractor over there, we have just he felt like we have right at $3 million left to pay once their contract is complete. There'll be some other expenses, but everything is tracking just like you guys see on that budget. So we'll have the 125,000 left, for moving back expenses. We'll, have to finish paying for the furniture, some other miscellaneous items, but we will still have, well over 300,000 that is just unused.
Where's the elevators at? Going up and down?
Oh, yeah, so yes, the elevators, I drove by there earlier today and I did notice the Schindler truck was there, so that gave me hope. One is completely installed, the second one was half installed, and they're planning, on finishing it up and installing the third one today. But on the 23rd, they are planning to turn on all of the, what I'm gonna call split heat and air units. They can be operated individually, but I guess the first turn on, they all have to be turned on at the same time, so they all have to be ready. Still shooting for that, end of October deadline. Oh, and so hopefully, if everything works the way that we're anticipating, so this will be another reason why we're asking for additional money, just kind of increase it, is the next energy and property meeting that we'll have, we'd like to have at the courthouse, just to kind of take an initial walkthrough.
Sweet. Like to be there.
Yeah.
So you're bringing from energy and property with no
With
recommendation?
no recommendation.
Without recommendation?
Yes,
You'd like to see an appropriation of $2 million
yes,
out of the Bible Courthouse renovation fund.
that's correct.
Would you like to make that in a motion?
Yes, I'll make that in the motion. I make a motion that we appropriate $2 million, to the construction fund, from the wherever to the construction.
Bible Courthouse renovation. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second made by Ms. Harbaugh. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Cool, then we'll see that appropriation ordinance also, next Tuesday night. Any other committees that want to bring any business? Any elected officials for monthly business that we need to attend to at the next regular call meeting next Tuesday night? Nice to have 5 elected officials here today. Funny how that happens better and better around budget time. Always glad to have them. All right, so if we have no other regular monthly business, let's start looking at the revenues just a little bit. Kelly sent out an attachment with some revenues on it. We started out last week in looking at some of the main revenues that we had. What she's given us today are some of the secondary revenues, some of the smaller special revenue funds. Kelly, you want to speak? Well, as to what you've sent us and then what you've got.
Yes, so we only went over, the larger of the four, the largest 4 funds of revenues last week. This week I've sent out 23, and there's still 14 left. That I was gonna say if you wanted to tack on to our first expense meeting, if that would be okay.
We can.
But anyway, these are, since we did county general last week, just starts with that very next fund and goes through, to the hospital tax account. So there's a few that are still, out there, like senior citizens. I haven't talked to them yet or anything, but.
Have you spoke to them?
No, she emailed me and said they were working on it, and we usually just get together at some point, and she hasn't scheduled a time with me yet. I've asked everybody to just let me know what date they want to bring their expense budget to you, and a lot of times we discuss revenues when we meet for those.
Okay. As, since we do have so many elected officials here, we a couple of weeks ago, we came out and I actually, sent you an email, requesting that you at least, we're gonna start the expenditure reviews October the 4th. I didn't expect everybody to have their budgets October the 4th, but that was gonna give y'all nearly a month to even get to that month, or that week. But as quickly as you can get them to us, the biggest struggle in us getting this budget done is in getting the budgets to us to look at. So if y'all have any questions, please reach out to Kelly. You if Kelly called me, I don't know that I can be that big a help, but I'd do anything in the world to try to help. So if you don't mind, please be working on those for us and trying to get them to us. We'll go through these accounts very briefly, these special revenue funds, the insurance account, very little change there. Except, well, I'm looking at that, Kelly.
Yeah, I left it the same. This is one of those ones that it's a pass-through. We never know, I mean, the money that goes in there is what comes out. So we don't really ever know how much is gonna,
How much to project?
how much is gonna go in there. So,
Is this where we have people outside the county employees that are paying for insurance like Delta Dental?
that, the
Or family
retirees,
programs.
yes, the retirees that are still on, or any person that might be on COBRA. It's also when we pay the court and you have family coverage, that money is held out of your check and then it is deposited in this fund, we pay it out, so it's.
Okay. County General CD Fund, just varies from year to year on how we do our CDs. We don't know how our budget's gonna go to project revenue and, we're gonna buy any new CDs. We just cashed $750,000, last week. So, if we have a real good revenue year, maybe we can put some of that back. Inmate incentive program. That one bumped up, Kelly. Well,
It's
actually
the
not
same.
compared to 2019.
Well, the very last column of, where you take the 10% off the top,
Uh-huh.
that matches the 2021 original, so that's, I just left that one the same.
That's, I breezed through too quick, and y'all have questions, just stop me, please. Treasurer Automation Fund. Peggy, you want to tell them where that comes from?
That's 10% of the treasurer's commission that I get every month.
She never uses it.
Isn't that one of those like line items that's encumbered of what she can spend it on? Or is it not?
Well, it's just used for my office.
But anything in your office?
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was more restricted.
Well, they try to use it towards automation.
I guess
There
that's
were
what I
so
was
many
thinking about.
counties back 15, 20 years ago that weren't supporting their elected officials in updating when computers were coming on and software on. And this kind of forces counties to have money for them. And, our elected officials have always been really, really good about using their automation fund. And, I know Susan helped us in 2 or 3 ways this past year, with her automation fund. The collector automation fund, which is Susan's, is one of the larger ones most of the time. Susan, you got any special plans this year?
I'm gonna replace our computers when we move to the new courthouse.
Gonna wait till then?
Yeah.
Probably
And
good
then
move.
probably replace the window sill too.
You paid for our whole new server this past year, didn't you?
Yes.
Wasn't that, 47,000?
But 48,000,
Yeah.
47,000.
Circuit clerk automation fund. Act 1809 judicial fees, district court fees. Kelly, we're projecting down just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just COVID and, we're projected down in a lot of areas that have to do with courts and the fees they collect.
Sheriff, don't you think a lot of that is COVID related?
Oh, which one?
Just the court system in general being down.
Oh,
so,
absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Fines are down and cases are down. The cases, You know, the crime's not necessarily down as much as it indicates in court activity, it's just they're not able to have court like they were previously.
Well, it came down, I think, if I'm not mistaken, order from the Supreme Court in Arkansas, and went down to circuit judges and went out from there, so that is true.
Assessor's Amendment 79, Holly's not here today. You go all the way back to 2019 pre-COVID, she's got it pretty close to where we've been, and actually brought it straight across from the less 10% number, 12.6 to 12.6. County Clerk Automation Fund. You don't need that, do you, Janice?
No, you can have it. You know I'm playing.
You know, Janice has a pretty good need in her office, and she's one of the smaller automation funds. She just doesn't get that much money each year. You know, pretty flat coming across. Liable Circuit Clerk Recorder. Glad to have Miss Leslie with us today. Leslie, what you got? 5 or 6 budgets? I lose count.
6. I haven't had a chance to look at mine because we were in court all week last week,
Oh, that's fine.
but I'm gonna print it out and start working on it, this week.
We always do a good job. We had to move some salaries around last year, which meant we moved some other expenses, which,
Yeah.
so that really gets to the point of making coding your bills really important sometimes.
I think I do a fabulous job of coding my bills according to Leslie, I do.
Any remarks on your, I know y'all don't have a whole lot to do with the revenue projections, particularly out of your office, but, any thoughts on your recorder 25%?
No, I'm gonna have to get a printout from Peggy or screenshot exactly what my totals are right now,
Well,
because I don't have that in front of me.
Kelly, you got it projected down again, is that because of the court cases, the drop in court cases because of COVID?
That's the only thing I'm aware of, but
So actual collections, and this isn't a pig, this is just looking,
Yes.
actual collections were almost 57,000 in 2019 pre-COVID. Actual collections in 2020 was 37,000, it dropped $20,000 basically. Year to date, at the end of August, we were just shy of $30,000, and we had hoped for 43.6, and we're probably gonna be pretty close to that. But the trend has been down, COVID, and so right now she's only projected a total of almost $33,000, and take 10% off of that. But if you wanna look and have some input when y'all talk, then that's fine. Library funds is pass through, guys. Sales tax issue, and it'll probably go pretty much straight across. Sales tax has been pretty good and steady in their collections.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
5.5 years on here, and I've never understood, and I don't mean to be opening a can of worms, but every year on our audit, we get written up because
We don't include them or budget.
they do not include the hospital or the library. Why is that?
Because those boards wanted to be autonomous and to themselves, and we actually didn't want to be over those expenditures.
So if the sheriff wants to be autonomous, he can come in and be autonomous.
He pretty much is, isn't he?
No, really, I don't understand.
We didn't for years, we never did control them, and the state's the one that changed their rules and regulations and the way they looked at us and wanted it to be included. So we have started including them in the report for their audits, but we don't set their budgets. They have their own special revenues, just like this.
Well, I know this on our, every year, when we get our audit report back, we're always, it's a word, it's a violation, really.
basically, and that's in
Because
our
we
own.
don't oversee those accounts, and I was just curious why that is.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
So the auditors are here right now, right? And so they asked us a month or so back for the library's audit and for the hospital. So we've submitted a copy of the library's audit, so they have that. And the hospitals is finishing up. So we're supposed to be submitting that. I don't know if that answers everything, but we did reach out to them and they're providing for the audit.
So the state does audit that, not private audit.
That's a good question. I can't tell you if it's a legislative audit or not.
Private auditors, I don't believe, and they want it included in our county budget.
I'm just curious. I never have understood why it's that way.
And each of those are funded by their own, or their own separate, sales tax.
So we don't supplement.
Sales
them.
tax and revenues.
We don't supplement them.
I'm not gonna say that, we done broke the county 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, the
Now
hospital,
they
clearly,
do
I mean
dollars
anymore,
worth.
right, I meant anymore, because that, but not since I've been coming to meetings, I haven't seen any.
No, not unless they have special needs. And, you know, the sad kickback on COVID in respect to the hospitals is they're doing booming business. You know, they're better off than they've been in a long, long time.
I talked to the CEOs and that thing had been full since March of last year, and that's utilized.
Full bed count right now where they were averaging 6 in Bible and 2 in Osceola for a long time. And we were not getting concerned where we were gonna go before COVID. So the influx of revenues has really turned things around.
I mean, I don't have any problems with the operating and everything. It's not necessary. But I'm just curious why we get written up on it.
For some reason or other, a few years ago, state decided they wanted it included in the county budget. Reappraisal goes through Harley's office, you know, we private contract that out.
So just a question, why are we not taking 10% off the libraries?
Kelly?
Well, this one, it's not showing anything in actual, but there is actually some there, it's just Peggy's report. This one is done as is it done as a transfer, Peggy?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what he said.
We're on the reappraisal cost fund.
No, I know what it was. This used to be combined with county general. And just recently, they wanted it to be their own fund. So that's why that's there. But this is a straight reimbursement from the state, I guess. So the state is giving us this amount, so.
It's passed through.
And we can turn around and just give it right back, so we didn't do 10%.
Thanks, sir. Child support fees are almost so small as to, we've gotta have them, I mean, we gotta show them, but $200. Sheriff communication fees.
Oh, how is the new computer system doing out there?
It's doing a whole lot better. I mean, you
Well,
know,
good.
you talk about the,
Your whole
jail
system?
software system. I mean, you still got a few glitches in it, but I mean, it's getting
Well, it's always.
something new. Usually train up. I hadn't heard anything like that.
Making it easier or harder?
It should be a lot easier.
Good.
You know, in the first year when the courts get their new system, I think everything will be like that.
Kelly, the large part of this fund balance comes from the transfer from the sheriff's office fund, and you bumped it 13,000. Was sheriff just asked for that, or?
No, I wasn't talking about it. Maybe that's just how it was connecting or something, I'm not really.
I bet that's what it is. I bet that's just a prorated deal.
It's really less than 3,000 is what it was.
Well, we received 39. The original was 45 and 21.
Oh,
But
you
you're
haven't got
projecting
that?
58.
So what that is
That's the transfer from the sheriff's office,
Yes.
next to the last line.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, I'm just trying to remember.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Peggy, you can probably help on this one because, is that just what comes into, like, does it come, I can't remember, it comes from somewhere into 3014, and then isn't that what we use to just turn around and supplement the jail?
Sheriff communication,
Yes,
it comes in on the sheriff's report, yes, that we get from Marcia. We usually try to leave 5,000 in there, yes, sometimes if there's more than that in there, we do, supplement, the transfer to county general if there's enough in there, but we usually try to always leave 5,000 in there.
well, what I was looking at is we transfer from the sheriff's office fund over into this account. Or is that going the other way? This is supposed to be showing income into the sheriff's communication fund. And the next to the last line, 8892, we budgeted a $45,000 transfer into the communication fund, and we bumped that up 58,000. I was just wondering why.
Well, it's not, the 45,000 was the 90%. Okay, so really it just went from
45 is
to
52,
52.
so 7,000.
And that's more, based on probably how it projected out,
Okay.
already at 39. So I just can't remember off the top of my head where this is coming from, but I think, like Peggy said, it's coming in from,
The sheriff's report.
yes.
Okay, the Detention Center Act, 1188. Pretty much just comes straight across from our 2021 budget.
That's the, what is that one again?
Act 1188. Sheriff, want to address Act 1188 at all?
Well, I wasn't prepared to talk about our budget today.
This is revenue.
Right.
This money coming in. You probably don't understand that anyway.
1188's always been kind of confusing. Marcia's the one that keeps track of all this, I have to quiz her on that.
Okay, that's fine. This just comes straight across.
Well, we get that from the municipalities and, that's what the cities pay, and
Is that the extra fees that are tacked on to the fines and stuff that are adjudicated?
I believe that's what it is.
Like that extra $25 that was added on?
And
I think
then
that's what that is.
we transfer that, we do transfer all of that money that's in that fund. We take all of that to then supplement the jail, for
Part of
that.
our county jail transfers.
Yeah, what was MCO? So, that's would be a question.
Because, they don't utilize our jail.
So is it on every ticket or just on the tickets that people go to jail?
Tickets that have been given adjudicated, I mean, they don't have to go to jail to get a ticket, believe me.
Is it on the, like, if I get a speeding ticket, is it on the,
So,
Sir?
be on the court document.
So it,
He said be on the court docket. You get court fees,
but
so
if you don't go to court, you don't get court fees, do you?
sometimes.
They set your bond, and your bond includes your court fees.
Gotcha, okay.
Court costs.
All right, gotcha.
Court
So,
costs.
so every ticket that's written in Mississippi County, except for Osceola?
Except for Osceola and Wilson, Joyner, excuse me, because they don't utilize our jail. Except under special circumstances. Have you never had a ticket forgiven if you just pay the court costs and then go and have to write $100 check anyway?
I was just thinking.
Some of us don't speak, some don't, some folks don't speak.
I don't know any of that.
I don't either, really.
That makes sense. What we're down here conversing is, so you're saying that Joiner and Osceola tickets don't have that because they don't go to court, or they don't use our
It
jail?
goes to support their jail.
Right, but the point is what we're kind of saying is if you get a speeding ticket, you're not necessarily going to jail, you're not utilizing the jail anyway.
No,
So why don't
still
they?
add it on.
So, okay, so if I get a speeding ticket in Osceola,
You're paying to keep their jail up.
I'm paying Osceola,
Their
not
jail.
yeah, got it, okay,
Okay,
now
that
it
makes
makes sense,
sense.
okay. So the more tickets we write.
Hey,
Sheriff Drug Control Fund, it's a small fund, fines and forfeitures, make the most of it.
I was gonna mention this, and I forgot on the, when we were talking about the monthly expenses. This fund and expenditures, the drug fund, on the expenditure side, looks like it's really running in the red, but you can see that they've had quite a bit of, revenue this year, and that's what they're using. It just wasn't budgeted on the expense side. We kind of never know what we're gonna get.
So it'll play in our catch-up budget.
Yes.
Boating safety. This comes out of the state. It's, game and fish, fines, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that right, Coach? Game and fish fines?
Yes, I think so. There is something to do with like boating license, like a fee on your boating registration.
It's not game and fish, I don't think.
It's not game and fish?
We don't,
We give it to the game and fish, don't we?
no,
We give it to the
that's
coroner.
different.
We give it to who?
Now we give this to the coroner? This is
Yes, we give it to Mike Godfrey.
Oh, okay. E911 first draft. This is a biggie. You look at the actual for 2020, $938,000. Year to date, right now, is $441,000. Projects out at $511,000 based on year to date. Less 10% be $460,000. This is Wynn's office. You know, they run quite a balance in their account, but then every few years they have to update all their equipment, and that's quite expensive, so we always have to make sure they got enough money in there. Public defender user fee. Down just a little bit as part of the court system again. Everybody gets a vaccination, we get over the COVID deal, I guess a lot of these revenues will come up, which is kind of sad, meaning we'll be back in court again. Drug court, how's that working out, you know? Adult drug
been
court.
working out very well.
Everywhere that I've talked to anybody about it, in other counties and all, everybody seems to be.
They had a graduation, with 3 people about a month ago.
Juvenile service fund. Probation fees, interest income, donations. Up just a little bit. Commissioner's fees, I'm not sure about this one. Treasurer's commission, treasurer's excess, must be on you, Peggy. Commissioner's fees,
No, that's Leslie's.
And what?
was this treasurer's commission?
Circuit
Yeah,
clerk
that's where
commissioner.
she has to pay
Commission
for
on
it.
her.
Did you say circuit clerk commissioner?
Well, he said 2 things.
Okay, then which one are we talking about?
I was looking at the account 3039.
That's circuit clerk commissioner.
Okay, mine didn't say circuit clerk.
That's the commissioner fee that we get every time we do a commissioner, so. whenever I'm appointed to be the commissioner of a foreclosure sale that's ordered through my court, through civil foreclosure.
Well, it's a big budget, because we're projecting you at $245, 100% income. Assessor's late assessment, another one of those fees, $686, take 10% off, $617.40. And then here's your other fee for your other account that you were asking about, the hospital tax account.
Yeah.
It's half cent, just like our economic development. Generates 3.2 to 3.5 mil a year. Year to date, looks like they're doing, the county in general is doing really well at almost $3 million, 2/3 of the way through the year, so we ought to have a really good year this year. Any thoughts on recent tax collections, Peggy?
Well, for August, we were down a little bit below our projections. Some county general and county roads, we were a little bit below our projections.
Yeah, well, the year looks like we're gonna go back towards,
Overall, we're still good.
we may be back towards 2019 totals. Just a little bit. Guys, we got another feud like this that we'll look at, tack on to that October 4th meeting, the first expenditure list meeting. Any of the elected officials have any questions about your budget preparations or what you need from us or need us to do something, anybody?
Do we fill in the salary parts and all that, or do we just
Just let it go straight across, and then we're gonna work on overall raises, if you don't mind. We're gonna try to help everybody. What we did today was a special instance.
Right.
Just like we did out of the assessor's office. They lost people or cut their staff. So they
Right.
took that extra money and used it to give the remaining staff raises.
Good.
But that's outside of the normal financial or annual budget. So, that doesn't mean go back and fire half your people.
Oh, no.
But if you've got somebody you don't need, let them go, and we'll fix it. Anybody, any questions, elected officials? Anybody, Dennis? You're just quiet as a mouse back there. Sure, anything? You got one of the bigger budgets, anything we can help you do to get ready?
No.
You got your best resource right there on the right hand.
Jennifer working on
Thank
that.
you, just so down. So, Tom, you have anything coming out of the, judge's office?
No, sir.
Okay, if that's all, guys, that's all I've got. Tuesday night, we've got 2 appropriations. We got one coming regarding the sheriff's department. We've got another coming out of energy and property regarding the courthouse project. And that's all the business that finance committee will have for the regular court meeting next Tuesday night at Burdett, 7 p.m.
You have a committee tomorrow,
Committee tomorrow.
planning and development.
Planning and Development Committee tomorrow at 1:30. We're gonna come back and get together and talk with Mr. Cliff Chitwood. Greta has met and come with 2 recommendations that I'm aware of, and who knows what else he's come up with since then. So 1:30 tomorrow right here. Thank you very much. We'll call her adjourned.